Welcome, little one. This is your first day. Your designation will be RP-01/138. We expect great things from you. You have been born into dangerous times. A sharp mind can be the key to survival. But as often as not, it will be your inherent physical traits that win the day. And in this regard, you will be superior to your more common brethren. For you are a commando, an elite unit, something truly special. Your weapons, your armor, and most importantly, your brothers.
All right, men. Listen up.
Delta Squad, form up.
Forming up, boss.
What up, my fellow Republic Commandos? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel, and we are live once again in a galaxy far, far away. A lot going on this weekend, like Star Wars Celebration dropping some major bombs, like the new Ahsoka teaser trailer. A reaction video will be coming out a little later today. Filmed it last night, right after I did the Air movie review. Make sure if you guys haven't checked out that video.
You look tired.
Do I look tired? Is that your way of saying I look horrible, Corey?
Maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the voice of Sith sympathizer himself, Super Bro Corey. How you doing, big fella?
Hey, how we doing today, buddy? You got up, you know? You've been working all night, 4 a.m.? Pretty late night.
Worked until 4 a.m. video editing for the Air movie trailer reaction, and then got up at 7:50 a.m. because I premiered that review so I could be in the chat.
And I tell you what, you've been putting out some fantastic movie reviews and trailer reviews. You know, Blue Beetle. You know, I spoke about that one, but you got me. So you not hyped at all for Blue Beetle, but you got me super. But you should still check out that trailer reaction. You did, however, get me super hyped for Hypnotic. I had no clue about that, so that trailer reaction was absolutely fantastic that you put out just yesterday. And then your overall movie of Air, Man, that was exciting too. I think you talked me into seeing it in theaters now.
Dude, Hypnotic. That easily, like, I had no idea about that film. It jumped up to like top 5 like most anticipated films of this year. Like, it looks so good. And then yeah, man, Air, guys, if you haven't,
you didn't spoil anything either in that, so it's not a spoiler review.
It's not so much a spoiler. I mean, in a way, it's kind of a spoiler because everyone knows what happens because it's based on a true story. I mean, it happens, maybe not exactly in that way, and they over dramatized it a bit, but like
basically, you're going to get the shoe. How do they get to the shoe?
How do they get to the shoe, and how did they get to courting Michael Jordan, the royal airness? So definitely check out that review a little later on, and let us know if you after watching it, if you haven't seen Air, if it convinced you to go see Air, or if you're gonna wait for streaming, or maybe purchase it later, or hell, if you did see it, tell us what you would score it. I want to hear from you guys all about it. Corey.
Yeah, bud.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and bring in Delta Squad.
Oh, we're just going right for it.
We're going right for it because
make sure you follow us on the Bat Channel and at the Holy Bat Channel. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe now button. And super chats. Super chats always help out support the channel. We thank you very much for it. Delta Squad, form up.
Delta Squad.
Just get right to Delta Squad forming up.
Just get them right up.
Here we go. Welcome to the stream, the Savage Bay, and we do not have Orc, but we do have the Miss Wonderful Retro Nerd Girl.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
It's great to see everyone. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good. Doing good.
Savage, I think you're on mute, just FYI.
Yeah.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey again. Worst episode ever.
Hey.
Here's something that I'll say about this before we get into this episode. I know a lot of people are trying to create like rumors and like try to create reasons, behind the scenes of what's going on with Mandalorian. To say this is why this episode sucked. They're trying to talk about drama between Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy. While I may or may not believe in some of those things that are going on, I want to focus just on the episode. So this is going to be a fair review. I'm not going to put any outside, alternative motives going on, trying to drive a narrative. This is me looking at the episode and the season as a whole and trying to decide if this worked or not, if this was the right episode at the right time, if the story was good. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, this one depressed me because I think I built this one up in my mind because Bryce Dallas Howard was taking the helm, and she's phenomenal. Especially that episode she did in Book of Boba Fett. Like, while that wasn't a great show, her particular episode was like a highlight. So I was thinking to myself, oh, Bryce is going to kill this. It's going to be amazing. Especially the little theme. I mean, the pirate episode, that left me hyped beyond belief. I think I gave Corey, do you recall, was that like a 9.4? I think I gave it.
I think you did give it a 9.4.
I gave it close to a masterpiece. I was like, it was phenomenal. There's a few issues I had, but I was like, it was so good.
Well, I feel like we had back-to-back really good ones, and we've fallen.
We have fallen. Yeah. We have fallen from the way, and it's a bit alarming, especially this late in the game, guys. Without really breaking down and spoiling anything, did you guys feel the same way? Are you feeling like something weird happened this episode?
Yeah, definitely. It was odd.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Retro loved it.
Retro was like, this greatest episode since sliced bread.
I had problems with it too. I just to be general about it, I had fun with it, and I thought a lot of the areas of this episode was very fun, and I enjoyed a lot of the ideas, but I was just sort of like, why are we doing this right now. I thought we were dealing with heavier subject matters. Based on the last episode, it left on the cliffhanger that Moff Gideon was out there somewhere, and possibly the implication that the new Republic was going to start going after the Mandalorians, who were possibly framed for all of this. So I'm like, these are two big looming enemies, including this mystery enemy that might be out there that destroyed Bo-Katan's ancestral home. So we got three possible things, like looming horrible things that could happen to our characters. It's episode 6. We have 8 episodes. I'm like, why? Are we like joking around and doing side quests? And this is where the stuff needs to start happening, where we need to start like closing up the story and getting to the final solution to this season. And that was my biggest gripe with this, was like, huh? And then the end portion of this, which I'm not gonna spoil just yet, but that end piece was just anticlimactic for me, and just let me down on so many levels for all the characters. It didn't make anybody look good.
Yeah, I feel bad too, because when you commented back on our last breakdown, you're like, Trey, you were right. And when you said that, I immediately like, what was I right about? So I checked your timestamp and I started listening to myself, and I was like, son of a nutcracker. Like, that was the one thing I didn't want to be right about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. So theory confirmed from the Bat Channel, but not the theory I wanted. It was supposed to be a joke.
These aren't the theories you're looking for.
These aren't the theories. Yikes. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts, general thoughts.
Loved it. Masterpiece of an episode. Overall thoughts, Trey? It was a very meh episode. It was an underperformer. There was a lot of parts where I was like, oh, this looks very familiar, and we may talk about that a little bit. Like, I've seen this before in a movie with a famous guy named Will Smith. We'll talk about that later.
And you know what's the worst part about that? And I know we'll dive deeper into it, Corey, but like the fact, I watched a couple of other people break down this episode, because the first time I watched it, I was like, this episode didn't sit well. And I couldn't like really pinpoint why it didn't feel well. So I like watched to see if anyone like said what was on my mind, but I couldn't put to words. And the funny part was, people kept mentioning those certain films. I was like, oh my God, everyone saw it. Everyone caught the same themes that I saw. That I was like, yep, those were the issues there.
Well, it was very blatant.
I literally just got done.
I haven't seen anyone's breakdowns, but yeah, we was talking about this earlier. It's copy and paste. There was some serious copying and pasting going on there.
Sadly.
It was really, really odd.
But I'll say let's just jump into it, Trey.
But first we should say hello, Corey, to our amazing chat.
Look at that, Trey.
I got Corey this time.
Welcome, Batman's Thoughts.
What's
Beyond
up,
the
Bat
Night, Oracle's Clock Tower, The Butler, 9 Lives in Hell here, hashtag Restore the Snyderverse guy, Bat Fanatic, Jordan. What's up, Jordan?
Hey,
Red Hooded Outlaw. We have people are filing in on Oracle's Clock Tower. I think I tagged everybody, so welcome. Trevor H, there he is. I was like, I thought I saw Trevor. Trevor H, what's up, brother?
Hey.
It is wonderful to see you guys. As always, it helps us out so much when you smash a like, share this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. We're your YouTubers for hire for this episode of Guns for Hire. What's that, Corey?
YouTubers for hire.
YouTubers for hire. Chapter 22.
definitely have to pay someone to watch this.
Oh, did we hear Savage Bat's general thoughts on this? Did you say your general thoughts on the
Rubbish.
Absolutely rubbish.
There was a couple of things that I did like about it, but for the most part, but yeah, everyone keeps bringing up Meh. It was the Mandalorian. Meh.
The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and get started here. We start this episode, and I gotta be honest, it was just a weird way to, like, I feel like I get what they were trying to say by this initial this initial start, but I felt like they should have done it differently. We get this Korean ship that obviously, with the Koreans, they on their planet, they have kind of a civil war themselves between the species of the Koreans and the Mon Calamaris, and essentially there's this love affair going on between the captain of the ship, Romeo and Juliet.
Yes,
the prince is madly in love with her, but they're being helmed by a giant Imperial ship, battle cruiser, and of course this is the one that is being controlled and used by Bo-Katan's old group of the Mandalorians that we saw the season finale of season 2, where they took over Moff Gideon's ship. So it looks like they kept it, which is awesome. It's a great ship to have, for sure.
Oh yeah.
However, I gotta say, why using, I don't know what it was, and I this was a part that I couldn't quite pinpoint why I didn't like it, is it just felt like pointless. And I get what they were trying to say was like, oh, the Mandalorians these mercenary Mandalorians are up for hire, and they will do whatever. Their loyalty can be bought by the highest bidder, and in a way, it was kind of like referencing that maybe Moff Gideon did hire the Mandalorians to break him out, like we saw at the end of chapter 21. Do you guys think this confirms the Mandalorians did probably break out Moff Gideon? Let's start with Retro, then Savage, then Super Bro.
Yes and no. I mean, it possibly, yeah. I mean, shrugging shoulders, but it could be somebody else. It could be a plant. We don't know, and that's really what this show, this particular episode, we were hoping was going to reveal. And this whole interaction here with the Romeo and Juliet scenario was very compelling, very interesting, visually stunning, and the thing, I believe the prince is the job that the Mandalorian Din Djarin turns down. I believe it was season 1. Just before he decides that he's going to save Grogu, he's offered a job to get a rogue prince, and I believe this is the rogue prince.
Oh,
so there is a tie-in, but I don't think that.
Didn't even realize that.
Yeah, there's a tie-in, but it doesn't does it help the story at all? It's just another connected piece, but it doesn't actually feel like it's part of the story, and maybe it is part of a future story for season 2, where they revisit this whole thing and there's the fallout or consequences from this. But honestly, right now we shouldn't be setting up new stories.
No,
we shouldn't be setting up new stories because the season is almost over. And if we had 12 episodes this season, I would have no complaint. I would have been like, oh cool, so this will work itself out through the story.
Yeah. And I think someone kind of said it earlier.
We're not any closer to knowing which who broke Moff Gideon out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I definitely hear you there. The placement of this episode was maddening because you left us on a big cliffhanger, and I'm almost starting to wonder if it was done on purpose to kind of be a more lighthearted comedic episode, because these next final few episodes are going to be really dark and kind of take us to a really, really scary, sad place. But I think someone said it earlier where this was very reminiscent of like a Clone Wars filler episode.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and there was even an episode in it that involved the young prince. Do you remember? And they're all fighting underwater.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was the similar. So we could even be the same prince. I don't know.
I was wondering that myself.
Yeah, it might even be.
Huh.
Yeah.
Savage, what do you think this confirms that the Mandalorians, Bo-Katan's crew?
I don't think it really confirms it. I think it's put that on the table as a maybe. I said in my earlier thing, I thought it was maybe Boba Fett that broke him out for some reason. But yeah, it would make sense. But yeah, this again, it was all right. It's great to see the Mandalorians, like Retro said, visually stunning and all that. But yeah, just meh. This again, meh.
Yeah. Super Bro Corey, how about you? Do you think this confirms Moff Gideon was broke out by the Mandos?
That's where I thought this was going. I thought this opening scene was okay. I didn't actually have an issue with the scene, and I also agree with Retro and remember them saying that they were going for a print. So that connected with me as well. So at the beginning, I was like, okay, these are some weird species and stuff like that. And when Moff's ships started to come in, I was like, oh, this is interesting, So they had the Mandalorians come in, introduction. So we knew we were going to see the other Mandalorians as well. So this was something I was expecting, and I didn't have issues with as far as the episode goes. Yeah, I was wondering if I was going to see Moff Gideon show up at any second, like him come around the corner or something like that, or something along those lines. But it was it was a very small filler there that I was like, it was just kind of introducing those guys again is what I thought it was going to be here. So this portion didn't really bother me.
Okay. One thing that it kind of makes me wonder is if they're trying, it's kind of like one of those like who's behind the curtain, and I feel like they're trying to point so many fingers that it's the Mandalorians. Was it the Mandalorians that broke out Moff Gideon? That I feel like in most like TV shows that you're growing up watching Scooby-Doo all the time, you never it's never the person that they're always pointing the fingers at. So I feel like they're setting it up to kind of create this paranoia amongst the audience, and maybe eventually Bo-Katan, that her crew broke out Moff Gideon and they're working for him or maybe loyal to him, that it's not going to be that. It's going to be something else. It just seems when it's too blatantly obvious, they usually don't go that route.
That's going to cause a massive issue with the Mandalorians, because obviously Bo-Katan and Din Djarin are not on good terms with Moff Gideon, obviously. The whole Luke Skywalker thing and all that. And I just don't know. I really don't know where they're going with this.
Well, they do mention in this particular scene, I believe it's who's the leader now? Axe Woves. Yeah, Axe Woves, who's now in charge of this new mercenary group amongst the Mandos. Basically says, "Hurry up, let's get this done." So we have another job in Plazir 15, this other planet that we're going to be visiting with Bo-Katan and Mando, because she's trying to recruit her old gang again. This whole planet it has this like cool domes. It kind of looks in a way somewhat like Naboo, just in terms of like the greenery, the peacefulness of it. What was your guys' thoughts that it seems like once again they were able to get like easily sidetracked with this mission. Like here she is, she finally gets to seeing her fleet, and yes, they do get that tractor beam, but like she could have easily like gotten out of there and like just went to go grab them, you know, like she didn't have to worry or be bugged by these royalties and their basically their side quests for her. It just seems like they needed an extra 20 minutes to explain how they get
the writers needed 20 minutes. But according to what happened there, they took Plaisir 15 took control over the ship itself. Which is that's a new one for Star Wars.
Yeah, that's why it felt weird. It was like this hasn't happened before.
Yeah, that was the convenience of the writing. And once they got there, if we want to talk about this place, which I think is gorgeous, it is. People have compared it to Epcot Center. Because of the outside with the glass, and some of them have like a special texture. The tube railways and having the dome and indoor city, which is very much like Logan's Run.
Yeah,
and it is
great movie.
Like a sort of like an amalgamation of that. There's even like a literal scene ripped right out of a Logan's Run in this story, maybe even two. But it's very interesting how they got a lot of different ideas from different movies to create this. So it's fascinating, but at the same time, and it's cool. I like seeing that. And recognizing that, but it's also, I'm wondering what this has to do with this story, like this ultimate story, the story of the Mandalorian. Unless they're going to bring it back again for like season 4, if we get it, or the movie that they're planning. Where does this fit in the story of the Mandalorian? Oh, thank you, Red Hooded Outlaw.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely is like one of those scenes where like if this was just kind of like a one-off, like nothing really is gonna happen again on this planet, we're not gonna return to it in any way. I'm gonna scratch my head on this episode for a while of like why, like who thought this was a good idea, like who said yes, let's do this. Because at that point we gotta talk, guys. It just wasn't the right placement for it, just episode 6 should build up to 7 and 8.
What it reminded me of is I'm a huge fan of Star Trek. But it reminded me of one of those, every now and again you get a completely wacky episode that was just like, what the hell is going on? And it really reminded me of one of them. It was like always something to do with like jazz or going back to like Robin Hood times or something like that. It really reminded me of that kind of thing that you'd get one of skip that one.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, there was a Star Trek-y vibe to it.
I love Star Trek, but it does have those episodes, and you're like, what the hell is this all about? But, visually stunning though. The place looks amazing and everything.
I would say the one difference with the Star Trek side of things is like, yes, Star Trek does have those wacky episodes, Robin Hood times, different things like that. But there's at the end, it was almost like Data learned something or became more human.
Yeah.
There was that factor where this didn't have that at all. So it was just all wacky. It was wild, like you said, Savage. That's a very good point with what you said there.
I agree. Yeah, great points.
Absolutely.
Well, of course, our two Mandalorians, Dan and Bo, get summoned by the, I guess you could say, the hierarchy of this planet, and they you see a big feast going on. They're living the high society life. Everything's good and happy on this peaceful planet. And we get our two new cameo celebrity characters played by Jack Black and Lizzo.
It was Lizzo. I thought it was.
Yeah,
So-
I still have no clue who that is. Honestly,
I don't.
I don't listen to pop music.
And I feel bad because Jack Black. I feel like the moment, unfortunately, when you have Jack Black and just how Lizzo played these characters, it immediately, like, you can't take anything seriously.
Nope.
No.
It becomes a joke. And as I always say, if you're gonna treat your theme like a joke, then that's all we're gonna take it. It's gonna become a joke to us. If you treat yourself like a joke, it's a joke. And it just, like, I don't know why, but it just didn't sit well with me to, like, have everyone, like, it just didn't feel like Star Wars anymore, because they were being so comical to the point where, like, when horrible things were happening, like, essentially there's a scene that we'll talk about next, but they show footage of something horrible happening and they did it in a comedic way. And you're like, what the hell? Like, why am I laughing at that? I guess I have a twisted sense of humor, but, like, nonetheless, like, when Jack Black is there, he's delivering lines just like comedic Jack Black does, where it's obnoxious, and you can't really. It took me. This is the best way to put it. It took me out of the show. It took me out of the show, and not, like, into the story. Like, I immediately, like, removed myself and was like, this is weird. What was your guys' thoughts about their character? I think his name was Captain Bombardier. And Lizzo's character, the Duchess. What was your guys' thoughts about them?
Well, I hope you like libation.
Oh, that's great.
It was silly, and I enjoyed it. I laughed so hard. I was just laughing the whole time because it was silly, and I don't know if I guess that was the intention to have these characters be, like, phony and silly. But they, unfortunately, with the serious matters that are happening in their own city, not to mention the story of the entire broadness of the story, and the reason why the Mandalorians are there in the first place, is also like they have no sense of awareness, and so it's like I can't. There's no. I say that there's no tension. There's no tension in any of the scenes for this portion of the episode, because they're having fun. They're like, okay, now, and I explained this on another talk I had, that if they had chosen to do this, but when they pulled Din Djarin and Bo aside, they got serious. And they said, hey, look, we're doing this as an act for them so they don't panic. But we're in serious trouble. I would have been like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I get their characters and what they're doing. But like this, it's like, I can't take any of it seriously. I don't think that the writers are really taking this seriously. And I feel like it was poorly presented. Again, everything about the visuals here are great, right? All of the different aliens that are in that courtroom, all of the different looks that are in that courtroom. They have guards that are dressed in stormtrooper armor, and they've kind of embellished their own look to it. It was really fascinating. I was like, this is what a world looks like that actually used some of the discarded Empire tools, robots and other things that they've used to their advantage. This is how you do this and create this utopia. But at the same time, it was like, it was too jovial. And another thing that I thought would have been really great to enhance the scene would be if these characters were alien. Like if Jack Black and Lizzo was an alien, was an alien or were aliens, it would take away from the fact that we're looking at humans in our real world that we can connect to, which takes us out of the fantasy.
Yeah.
So
that's a wonderful point, Retro. I applaud that idea, because I think that would have helped a lot of people, because I think so many people got taken out of the moment and the fantasy, as you put it, because they saw these celebrities that we knew, and it was like, I don't know, they almost felt like they weren't watching Star Wars anymore, that it was a SNL skit or something.
And in contrast to this cameo versus Tim Meadows' cameo last week, I mean, there was some discussion by many that they were taken out of it too, just by him appearing. But he was that character of the smug, office dude. He did not, he wasn't playing a character. And if, like I said, just writing wise, could have been one line that they said, hey, we're just putting on for these guys, but we're in real trouble. Like, that would have just let us know that they were real, that they felt like real characters.
Yeah, I agree. How about you, Savage? What did you think about their characters?
I thought that it was, it's kind of, there's Jack Black. I didn't know who the other ladies know. I don't know who she is anyway. So I was right.
That idea, actually.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was, so I wasn't really bothered about that. But it kind of leading on to a bit further. Christopher Lloyd was in it as well. It's kind of felt like it was all like a bit of a reason to get them in it. Maybe I really don't know what angle they was coming from with it. Because it was very, very, very odd. I mean, it was funny, but this is not the right time for that. We should be getting right into the sort of Empire Strikes Back feel towards the end. Loads of stuff's going to be kicking off and all that soon. And really?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was not amused. I was amused.
Well said.
Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about the two characters, Duchess and Captain Bombardier.
So at first, the second I saw Jack Black, I was like, and Lizzo, I was like, all right, how much do they have to pay to get into Star Wars? And what's the price to get into the episode? How much does it cost to rent Din Djarin and Bo-Katan for a little side movie? And we'll jump more into that thought in a second. But literally, I was like, okay, this could go two ways. How are we going to go? And then he starts cracking jokes, and they do the thing around the dinner table, and it brought me right back to this.
Will there be anything else?
Oh, yes, my dear man. More babe, more babe, more babe, more babe.
It immediately brought me to that. I was like, good God, what the hell just happened here? And
oh my God, that was brilliant.
It immediately took me out of it. I was like, all right, this is a joke now. This is we paid for Din Djarin and Bo-Katan to do a show with us.
Oh yeah. Well, there was someone. Jesus Christ, that's funny. There was someone that asked a great question in our chat, and I'm trying to find it real quick. that I totally agree. It seemed weird that the Mandalorian, like Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, were even needed for this because they have these mercenaries. And I know they tried to throw this whole political, like, well, there's this reason why we can't do it. There's this reason, but you guys can.
See you later, Jordan.
See you later, Jordan. Have a good one, brother.
Take care.
But it to me, it wasn't a good enough reason. It just seems like, I think, as you said, Corey and Savage,
it didn't make any sense because they've got the Mandalorians out there, but they're like, you're all right though, but they can't come in. Like what?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, because they
what's
have
the
weapons
difference?
and you have weapons. Like
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. And not only that, like you're like literally, what is there? And this is where I wonder if there was a secret thing going on, because just with like Captain Bombardier, like Jack Black's character, he has the Scarlet Letter that he used to be part of the Empire, and he's been part of that rehabilitation, thing going on with the New Republic. That it makes me wonder: is he somehow not in it? Is he not working with Moff Gideon as well? Because why hire the Mandalorians and literally just have them, like, what are they paying them for? What protection do you need?
I suppose protection from the city and the planet outside of it from attack, but that still doesn't make no sense why they didn't just get them to sort the droids.
What is Jack Black? I gotta stop calling him Jack Black, otherwise it's gonna. What is Captain Bombardier like? What is he?
Jack Black. Yeah, that's the problem.
What does he fear?
Jack Black, yeah.
And that makes me wonder, like, does he have those Mandalorians there for another reason? Is he?
Well, the pirates are invading the Outer Rim and doing all kinds of stuff out there. So I don't know if it's just for pirates. There has been open activity with TIE fighters being seen in the Outer Rim. From earlier episodes, I don't know if you guys remember that, but that has been reported. But the New Republic is. I have a problem saying their name because they just make me pissed. The New Republic, they don't even send people out there because they just don't want to get involved. And they have their requirements, like you've got to be part of the their Republic of planets, and people just don't want that anymore. And so Mandalorians, you pay them money, they protect you, it's less hassle, they don't get involved in your politics, and it's much easier. But I think it's all a written contrivance, because they could have just gotten the Mandalorians on the planet to do the job for them. There are several things that they could have done. Yeah, it's just writing bunk.
Yeah. It's just a reason to have our main characters go on this little journey. Well, we do get this next cameo, which I won't lie. This one, it was cool to see, because I've actually met Christopher Lloyd in person at our Denver Pop Culture Con. And he is the sweetest guy in the entire world. And you know what? He is just like a gentle man, just like almost fragile, and I love this dude. He's just a great guy in person. And he loves being called Doc Brown. He relishes that shit. He like, if you ask him, I'm sure he said the lines a million freaking times. He still says it with a freaking smile. Like you don't even have to ask him. He'll just be like 1.21 gigawatts. They'll be like, Jesus, Christopher, like you do. He's so cool. And I did meet Biff as well at Denver Pop Culture Con, and I wanted to go up to him and be like, "Listen here, butthead." And he's so nice too. I couldn't hate him. He's not a jerk in real life. But Christopher Lloyd, who is playing this guy, this Commander Hellgate, who is in charge of all the droids. He's kind of the man at the control center, and he's kind of informing Bo-Katan and Din Djarin about what's been going on in their city, how these droids have been malfunctioning. There must be a reason behind it. Like I said, this had another weird kind of scene where you're seeing footage of all the droids malfunctioning. One that like there's a droid like Chop doing sushi cutting, and all of a sudden starts cutting up everybody, and it's just done it in a comedic way that you're kind of like, that's kind of twisted. I'm not sure why we're doing this, but I didn't mind Christopher Lloyd's cameo. I felt like his character match, and I'll go into more depth about why I think his character was okay, and especially his performance, I felt like matched what they were going for. But all in all, he does tell them that there is basically a fail-safe button to shut down all the droids. But the reason why they haven't done it, and it was kind of like a WALL-E reason, the Disney movie.
WALL-E, yes, there's a lot of WALL-E.
I was going to mention WALL-E.
Yeah, that like, the reason why we haven't shut all the droids down is because we need them. We can't function without them. If they go down, this entire society goes down. It's like insane when you think about it. Like, they literally have these droids just so they can have a chill life.
I think that was intentional, the WALL-E thing as well, because the whole stealing ideas from loads of different things, and the fact that it was about droids as well. I think the WALL-E thing was definitely intentional.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
And we'll go on a bit more with
right. Retro, did you have something to say? It looked like you may
no.
I
was listening.
Yeah.
I was just like, yes.
So of course they do a little bit of investigative work. They check out some little friends, the Ugnaughts, who we've seen Din Djarin. He's had dealings with the Ugnaughts before. The one in particular was Gwil, that we saw in the first season, I Have Spoken. And I loved this whole scene because it really, once again, we're seeing a nice difference between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, where she's kind of coming at them like, what are you guys doing wrong? Like, did you build these robots to malfunction, or where's your error? And as we know, the Ugnaughts are really, really great mechanics. They're great at building things. So they're taking offense to this, but Din Djarin's able to kind of be like, hey, I know how these people talk and how, what they take offense to. Let me talk this. And it was very interesting to hear that, I guess, Gwil was a very famous Ugnaught, because the moment he dropped his name, immediately Din Djarin earned the respect of their people, and they were able to give him the information he needed to kind of investigate this malfunctioning problem further. What do you guys have any theories about maybe how's Gwil, he's out in the middle of nowhere? I think, was he on Tatooine? No, I don't think it was Tatooine. It was somewhere else. But it just seems like Gwil, he's a much bigger character than maybe we have realized.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is another writing problem, because they don't even ask how's he doing? Do they know he's dead? It's just sort of like they stop everything, but there's no mention of actually what happened to Quill. So it makes me just wonder, fine, okay, maybe all the Ugnaughts maybe they know each other, or maybe Quill is a legend where he's from. But how would Din know that? That's the other piece. How would he know that they all know each other, or that they even know him? So it is one of those moments where you're just like, okay, I guess this is a question we're good. Either they're gonna answer it later on, like we've had a lot of these shows be the answer to a lot of questions in other series and other programs that we were like, okay, well, why doesn't this work? And then they answer it in some show. And so I really don't think that it has, if it did, if he's a big name somewhere, then why leave that in the balance? Why hang that in the balance like that?
Yeah. It definitely seems like kind of like, here's just a way to get us moving to the next scene without really giving us the background story about Gwil. I mean, other than it kind of just shows you that Din Djarin is very resourceful compared to Bo-Katan in some of these situations. We've seen many different instances where he's kind of cultured in a way, like of other things, because he's been around the galaxy quite a few times.
That was one thing I really enjoyed about the first season, was that he was able to talk to different groups of species in the way that they were able to communicate with him. And I think, was it the Bantas or the was it Bantas and I think the oh gosh, I'm forgetting the little guys with the
Jawas.
Yes, thank you. Wasn't he able to speak with them?
I believe
He had a good thing going on with them.
So I think he's that kind of guy that he just picks up languages and cultures very well, because remember, he had his own culture with his family, and then he had to learn a new culture of the Mandalorian. So I think he's just one of those characters that's able to do this, and I love seeing that, because I was like, yes, finally Din is doing Din things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Din is being Din finally, after so many episodes. It's so hard to, he has been so silent, and I'm glad that in this episode he was able to reveal a little bit more of his personality.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it was nice to kind of see. I do like with these particular scenes between Bo and Din, they kind of they balance each other out in many different ways, and sometimes they are reflections of each other in different scenes. Like one time, Bo-Katan takes the lead on this, and the other time Din takes the lead. It just shows that they go well hand in hand. And in a way, they're just good together. They can get the job done. Savage, your thoughts?
What on the what do you call them now? The
Ugnaughts?
Ugnaughts. Yeah. It was all right, that scene, but it kind of didn't really make much sense why they was all just stopped. Like, oh yeah, he's a famous Ugnaught or whatever. But yeah, I didn't really mind that scene, but again, Retro was saying, writing just definitely a bit off. The whole thing, really, from start to finish, like that scene, kind of sort of didn't make much sense. And but it was good to see Din. His bit of his personality coming out and that, and the dynamic between Din and Bo-Katan, very cop buddy, I thought.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop kind of thing going on.
Which is good, but I was just poorly placed timing. This could have been after the big finale, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
and it would have made a lot more sense.
It felt like this particular episode, they had a beginning and an end, but the middle they were just kind of like whatever happens, Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Retro?
Yeah, I mentioned this somewhere else before, but I think that it would have been a really, really good time at this point to refer back to IG 11 and ask these guys, hey, do you have that part? If you were gonna connect that piece, so that we would that's just a storyline that's just hanging right now. It is like. Yeah. It's a string that has no connection to anything. So, that would have been the perfect time, unless they plan on making a trip back and then doing, because I could see them doing that as well. But this would have been a perfect time. Like, hey, by the way, do you happen to have this part?
Retro. I love what the butler says here. That would have vastly improved this episode. Something as simple as that, which would have not even taken 30 seconds to have done. 20-second conversation and bam, there's your part. That would have improved it. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. That's brilliant. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts?
Yeah. So, real quick to touch base on Christopher Lloyd. obviously, it was really fun seeing him, acting in an episode.
Yeah.
Once again, we had Jack Black and Lizzo. So when I saw Christopher Lloyd, I was like, okay, we're just trying to, how much does it cost to get in there? But like the thing that bothers me about Christopher Lloyd here at this scene is I guess when you're bringing in these people, you have to be careful with how you have them talk, how they do things, because like I mentioned with Jack Black's scene, I was thinking of Fatties, Tropic Thunder, when Christopher Lloyd's talking about succeeding. It immediately brought me to,
What if we don't succeed?
We must succeed.
So I went from Tropic Thunder and Jack Black to immediately Back to the Future. So I'm clearly not in Star Wars land right now. So I was really confused. Then we get onto this scene, and I think the one cool aspect of the scene was for the first time in many episodes now, I'm like, okay, this is the Din Djarin that I remember. This is, look who's gone. Look who's gone. Grogu's not with them, and he starts leading. I'm like, holy crap, maybe he can be a leader. He's like, let me show you how you talk to these, people, he was taking the charge, and that becomes a common theme in this episode. So it got me like, okay, he's kind of showing Bo-Katan what he can do. So it was kind of fun to see there. Yes, with what Retro said, I completely agree that that would have made this episode so much better if they included that. But this seemed like a fan-made episode versus and fan-made being like. We're just gonna, doesn't have to have anything to do with the story. We're just gonna, do a completely different storyline, and we paid Din Djarin and Bo-Katan to be here.
I don't know if it was fans. It was more like a room full of monkeys on typewriters, and didn't know that thing, and they just come out with the script at the end of it. That theory about the monkeys with typewriters. Eventually, they'll write something. Yeah.
Was it the space monkeys?
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know what I mean? It just like there was so much in it that really didn't make sense. Christopher Lloyd is so amazing. And you mentioned Back to the Future. Also, he did a couple of Uncle Fester moments in it.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of funny memes about it. And later on, they say, you're a separatist. And someone's added it in... you can separate these nuts. And he's doing that Uncle Fester look, And it was. I really, really don't know what they were smoking when they was making this, but it didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, here's a scene that we got that I think Corey's been waiting to talk about, and what everyone has been talking about as a copy and paste. It felt straight out of iRobot. Where they start going to the assembly line of the droids who are pulling from the cargo, and Din decides to take things in his own hand and play a little bit of bad cop. And at first, I thought Din was like really acting up, and like to me, I didn't catch it at first. But this morning when I rewatched it again, I realized there's a reason, and I feel like this was bad storytelling in this way, that they should have handled it differently to show a form of PTSD with Din Djarin, is that his family was murdered by droids.
These particular ones.
Yeah, and these particular battle droids, right? The BS1, the BS2. And so seeing them, I felt like if they would have showed us a little bit of nervousness with him, or even some flashbacks of how it's getting in his head, just a little bit of the trauma that he's seen. Like, I get he's kind of grown since then, because with IG-11 he was able to kind of build a friendship with that droid, but these droids in particular are the ones he remembers in his memories that attacked his homeworld and killed his parents before he was saved by Death Watch. Here, it would have been a great moment to have those quick little traumatizing, and I feel like that was the issue. They went the more comedic route rather than...
It wouldn't have made any sense because they was trying so hard for the comedy side of it.
Yeah.
Doing that post-traumatic stress thing wouldn't have fit. It wouldn't have fit. It would have made, it would have made sense if they made the whole thing pretty dark, but, I don't really see.
Or just realistic.
Yeah.
I mean,
but there was so much wrong with this episode. The droids, the way the super battle droids looked as well. I mean, the city itself, the CGI special effects are amazing, and then the droids themselves look like, I don't know, like 20-year-old CGI. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
The way they moved, and further on you see the running bit. That was just completely ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it was definitely weird for us because we've never seen them do that. Unless if you played Battlefront 2. But,
yeah, Battlefront, they run in that, but that looked stupid at the time as well. They were like,
yeah.
But you thought these massive machines, there's no way they'd be able to do that. But that was another iRobot. I'm sure it's copied and pasted from somewhere. And it really reminded me of the Incredible Hulk. That as that robot was running away and falling over and throwing stuff. I'm sure that they used the same motion captures they used in one of the Hulk films.
Oh my God! Yes,
honestly, there was something very familiar about the whole thing, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's definitely a rip. I'm sure someone will find out what it was, but there was a copy and paste bit of motion capture thing going on there, so I'm sure I've seen that scene before somewhere. The way it was running and falling over, turning around and throwing things. Honestly, it was just something really odd about the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Trey, check back chat. While I jump into this real quick. So, yes, absolutely. When we got to this scene, it immediately brought me to iRobot. Just the way he was kicking the droids around, it immediately brought me to this scene here.
Detective, what are you doing?
Well, you said they've all been programmed with the 3 laws, so that means we have 1,000 robots that will not try to protect themselves if it violates a direct order from a human. And I'm betting one who will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Then he goes on and starts shooting them, and he sees the one that kind of looks off down the line, and he starts running and taking off.
The one that reacted, yeah.
It was the one that reacted. It was immediately iRobot, bro. So, yes, it was just absolutely wild for sure.
Yo, Skywalker.
Yeah. What's up, Sky? No, man. It was very much iRobot. I mean, here's one thing that was kind of cool, a little Easter egg for Star Wars fans. If the voice of the battle droid sounded familiar, it should, because it's been the guy who's done it all this time, Matthew Wood, who has voiced the battle droids in Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and as well as General Grievous. He's been the guy all the way throughout, and he returned to do the voice for this, so it was great to hear his voice again. And as a Star Wars fan, when you hear that voice, you're kind of just like, it puts you back to being that kid when you hear Roger, it was just great that they were able to get Matthew Wood back for that. But we do get this little crazy chase scene, and Din goes on his own to give a tackle before Bo-Katan takes out the super battle droid, where they set up a crime scene and found a little business card, I guess you say, or like matches, bar matches.
This part right here is so fake. Right. So fake. It's like Batman. Everything about it was like planet Earth. Like they even had yellow tape around the thing.
Right. Oh my gosh. This scene, it was kind of weird because, when they get to this droid bar, I don't know if we've ever kind of seen droids like that before. I mean, we know droids in Star Wars have personalities and they do have friendships with each other, but I don't know if we've ever seen this like human,
Apart from that old cartoon droids, that was the only time.
Yeah. What was your guys?
That wasn't that great.
Right. Yeah. What was your guys' thoughts about the whole the bar scene with the droids?
I liked seeing that there was a bar for droids. I really did enjoy that. I like to see all the different droids that were there. I did have a problem with the scene existing because we really could have skipped this and gone directly to the robot morgue. That's basically the next scene. And you wouldn't have missed any story points except for the droids essentially want to be slaves for the citizens of Plazia 15, which makes no sense at all.
Well, it was kind of like the reflection of our own society, right? Where like we don't want things to become automated so much because then we lose jobs. And here the droids are like, we don't want them to go back to being manual because then we'll lose our jobs. And it was like a little bit of the comedic humor of that reflection.
Yeah, and I get it, and I'm tickled by it. And it says it could have existed. It didn't have to. It was one of those moments that, after reflection, really feels like this whole thing with the robots and a possible uprising and the fact that they are sentient is its own show altogether. Like you could totally do a full season of just the Mandalorian dealing with this kind of issue here and sorting through it, whatever. It's a big thing because we're talking about not just these droids, but possibly droids all over the entire galaxy. And it's a very juicy subject matter, very good. And it's too good to be just a line in this, or a 4-minute moment in this episode, in my opinion, where we should have been on a different subject altogether. We should have been finding out about more pressing matters.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see where you're going with there, because there wasn't really much point to it, because like they could have figured that out, with the fuel going in them had something in it that was causing them to malfunction just simply at the morgue. They didn't need to go through the droids to like figure it out. I felt like this particular scene was done to not only show the reflection of our society and the fears that we have with the workforce, but to also show the reflection between Bo and Din. Earlier, when Din and Bo were talking with the Unknots, we kind of saw where Bo was being kind of headstrong and kind of not helping the situation, how Din was able to come to her aid and be resourceful and get them the information we needed. Now we're seeing a flip of that, where Din wasn't really helping the situation. He was letting his emotions get the better of him. And this is where I say they didn't do a great job explaining that by showing the trauma that he dealt with all those droids. If they would have showed that trauma, I think they would have had a little bit better storytelling here. But instead, we got this slight reflection of where he's not being helpful, and Bo-Katan is having to like calm him down, saying like, hey, like, I'll take this from here. Like she even pulls him aside, like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't working. And you could tell he's flustered. If they would have just kind of explained that a little better, I think it would have been a much better scene and maybe needed. But I think you're right. It was kind of there for an extra couple of minutes. Savage, what was your thoughts? Bishop, what's up? It's good to see you, man.
What's up, Bishop? Yeah, I kind of agree with Retro that it was not only misplaced, but like that opens up a whole different chapter in Star Wars. Like, I'm not sure how they would do it, but they could easily make a show just about droids. And it would have been better off left to something like that, because it's kind of an iffy thing. I mean, writing a story about that is going to be really difficult to get people to engage. Because do you know what I mean? They're droids at the end of the day. You're going to have to come up with some real clever story writing trickery to make it interesting. To make it interesting, yeah. But yeah, totally misplaced. It was all a bit odd. But yeah, just another reason not to like this episode, really.
By the way, I just wanted to say that the banter that you mentioned between Din and Bo was great. I love that whole all their banter between each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. The banter between them is definitely a strong point for sure.
It also this buddy cop thing going on, even the going to the morgue thing. That's classic cop show, thing. It was all right, but it's just I just don't know. There's this whole thing, so many different things going on at once. I just thought it was a bit of a mess, really. To be honest.
Yeah. I hear you there. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about the bar scene?
This is a filler portion of a filler episode, and the sole purpose of this was to show that Din Djarin can actually kill something with the black saber, the dark saber, and all it was a little droid. So why do droids have bars? They
did explain that. They said it was something.
The Nepenthe. It was like fuel that helped update their software and helps prevent where that someone had put like nanobots in that caused the malfunctions. Lisa, a certain Bad Batch, which is kind of Bad Batch. It was kind of funny to hear that because in a way it's like, wow, the droids kind of once again a reflection of our own society, just how we can get food poisoning in a way. The droids are getting food poisoning.
It was just lackluster here, and then seeing Bo-Katan, being pinned down to the way she was, they were definitely trying to hype up Din Djarin, and I was like, which is fine. It's cool seeing him be a leader and be rocking it, but I was like, okay, Din Djarin's killing it. He's rocking it as far as leading in this episode so far. So it was like, okay, this is interesting, Din Djarin, because I've been on that Bo-Katan train, big fella.
Absolutely. So obviously they go to the morgue. They discover all the details about the Nepenthe and how it's being corrupted by someone on the inside. And we can kind of guess who it's going to be. But it was, we see another, as soon as they figure it out, the interrogation droid that has been reutilized for, I guess, a medical droid now. I don't know. Kind of goes crazy, goes haywire, tries to kill them. But as Corey said, Din Djarin finally uses the Darksaber once again for only the third time ever, basically. And destroys the droid. And now we go to who the big reveal is of the bad guy, which is, sadly, Doc Brown from Back to the Future. It's been him this entire time. Biff was right. If Batman was here, hashtag Biff was right.
You wouldn't get that reference, though, because he hasn't seen Back to the Future yet.
What did you just say?
That's a crime. I saw that comment.
Batman, we can't be friends.
Back to the Future is one of the greatest things of all time.
Without question. Batman, what? How does what?
Yeah.
How does one not watch Back to the Future? This is madness.
Madness. Batman, I will not do a show with you until you watch all three Back to the Future.
We just need to do a watch party with Batman.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We're coming up on. Oh dear, is it the 40th anniversary? Yeah,
1995. Yeah, it's 2 years.
The 40th anniversary. Yikes!
Thanks, Phil.
We'll have to do a watch party. That would be fun. What's up, Phil? It's good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well, my man. So we find out it's Christopher Lloyd's character, Commander Hellgate, who is the one that's causing the droids to malfunction. And really, to be honest with you, while it was, cool to see the reveal that he's a separatist, who just doesn't believe in the New Republic. He didn't agree with the Empire. He's he mentions Count Dooku and talks about how, you know, he was in his prime and he was, killed by a Jedi enforcer and was about to say Anakin Skywalker before Bo-Katan takes him out, gives him the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity to shut him down. But 1.21 gigawatts. I feel like his logic was flawed with using droids to kind of retaliate. And I know it's directed towards Captain Bombarder, which is Jack Black's character, and his involvement with the Empire and what he's trying to do with the society of Pozir 15. But what was your guys' thoughts? Like when, he, as the big villain, he's revealing why he's doing it. How did you guys feel? Like, is it kind of like, that makes no sense? Retro, your thoughts?
That's a little bit wonky there. It wasn't really set up as a real shock or a real he wasn't a real threat to me. First of all, let's go back to the morgue. At the morgue, they reveal his face, and there's some like writing in Star Wars language, and some people online decoded it, and it said this really doesn't mean anything, and they mentioned the show CSI.
Oh yeah, I did hear something about that on Twitter,
which is very very interesting. That's what they decided to include in this season as a Easter egg, if you will. If you can, if you're the one that's can decode these things, that's a little bit like insulting. It really is.
Once again, it was kind of for the comedic value, right? Like they knew everyone was going to try to decipher it, so let's screw with them here,
Yeah, instead of putting real text pertinent to the character, so we can learn about him and learn about what this is all about. That's more important than a joke. And so that was disappointing. And then also, his entire plan was he loved this place so much that he wanted to kill all of the citizens with robots. That's not a smart plan. Why do you want to kill everybody? Because you're dissatisfied that that everything changed and you wanted to go back to the way it was. It didn't make sense to me at all. His plan, what he was doing, and why he was doing it. And I think this whole thing of bringing up the Separatists and bringing up Dooku is another one of those like, hey, it's like waving an Easter egg at us, like, hey, remember Dooku? Remember, the prequels, guys? We're referencing it, and it's like if you didn't take the story seriously enough, like why should I care? And otherwise, it's if you look at it on the surface and you don't dig too deep into it and you're not trying to analyze it. Yes, this can be a fun moment, where some crazy wacky guy decided that they're going to do something that was going to harm people, and they found out who it was. It was very Scooby-Doo, what it was. A lot of people have been
would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, I'm not
your meddling Grogu,
pesky Mandalorians.
Yeah, it's very Scooby-Doo. And I also wanted to bring back one reference before I'm done. Back at the lab, that droid that goes kind of haywire and shoots off all those laser beams, that's a direct reference to Logan's Run, because a similar action happens there where a laser machine kind of goes off wacky and cuts up everything in the room. So I was very surprised at that. Now, the other thing about that scene, I don't mean to be long-winded about this, was that yes, Din Djarin finally uses that sword properly. if you notice, like he just goes at that thing and just slices it, and it's was spectacular. I was like, yes! I was like, he finally is using that blade like he ought to, you know.
It still seems like it's heavy for him though. Like he still hasn't quite bonded with it. Like, cause the moment he sliced it, his arms are like lowered again, like he was winded. So he hasn't quite mastered it the way like Bo-Katan, you know, clearly is. Which I think just goes to show how foreign the Darksaber seems to him, you know.
Yeah. But I was really like excited for that moment, as I was like, oh yeah, he's finally getting it. he was having trouble just raising it before.
Yeah.
You know.
I love what Tim's talk said. First off, Tim Talk, it's good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Guys, if you have not checked out Tim Talk's YouTube channel, you should. He's doing he does a lot of similar content to us. He's been talking about Mandalorian, Bad Batch even, and a lot of the stuff going on with Star Wars Celebration. So definitely check out his channel. But he says Jack Black is revealed from my sources from Disney. He is allied with Darth Jar Jar as his apprentice. Hey man, I still believe.
Funny.
I still believe in Darth Jar Jar.
And that also said, Trey, there's a disturbance in the Force.
Disturbance in the Force.
Yes, let's bring in a special guest now arriving. You know him as Skywalker the Jedi.
What's up, Sky?
Skywalker.
Hello, everybody. Much love to the entire panel. Much love to the chat. It's always great to be able to pull up over here on the back channel and talk some Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Always great.
Star Wars. Oh my goodness.
How you been, man?
Oh my goodness. I've been so busy, but I've been great. I've been so great. I had a fantastic evening last night, followed by a great morning. And now it's getting even better now that I'm here with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I love kicking it.
So Sky, I know we've kind of already gone through just about 75% of this episode, but general thoughts, what do you think? A lot of hate has been going on with this episode. You obviously hear us. We keep talking about how this episode was bad timing. What's your general thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny because I had been seeing that there was a lot of people that was kind of more down on this season than the others. I was pretty intrigued so far, right? I was there. I was enjoying this season. And when this episode came, all that came to a screeching halt. I feel like this episode was very close to jumping the shark. When Jack Black and Lizzo popped up, it was hard for me to take that whole the entire episode seriously, right? Just based off them being there, it felt super wrong. It ruined Christopher Lloyd's performance for me, right? Because Christopher Lloyd did great. It was great seeing him back on the screen, and he's just doing his thing. And I knew that he was going to be a bigger character, right? That he wasn't just going to be like some character that they just show at the start of the episode, and then he just never comes back up. But yeah, the Jack Black and Lizzo thing really made it hard for me to kind of key in on this episode. And I feel like that was a colossal mistake. Like if it would have been one of them, it would have been fine. But both of them, that was really tough. That was really tough.
Quick shout out to Orkin Beans. I believe he'll be here with us next week.
Orkin Beans.
Orkin Beans.
I am the Senate.
My goodness, man. Yeah, it's this episode. I feel like this season has already been like kind of rocky for people. I think you're either still with it or you're kind of looking down upon this entire season. And I don't think this episode helped at all. In fact, it probably made it worse.
No.
You're absolutely right.
Christopher Lloyd's character as well. He's such a great actor, and obviously everyone's grown up seeing him in such great movies and stuff. But he's kind of wasn't really a bad guy. He was just someone that was just insane.
Exactly.
And the way they sort of took him out with electricity and that was very sort of like you would someone who's completely insane. Like Retro was saying, very very Scooby-Doo. Yeah, what can I say? Just hopefully next episode they start actually getting along with the story.
Christ.
Absolutely. Yo, when they were like all talking at the end, you know, Din Djarin, Bo, Christopher Lloyd's character, and everybody, like, I was like, yo, what is going on right now? Like, I literally asked myself that question. It did feel very Scooby-Doo-ish, and I was like, yo, this feels like I'm not even watching The Mandalorian anymore. This is the worst episode I think I've seen, including like all of the live action shows. I think this is probably the worst episode.
Yeah, this one definitely had some problems with it for sure, and I think this, you know, in a way, and I can't, you know, this episode was very much like, to me, it was like what Marvel has issues with a lot, where they sacrifice the story for the sake of comedy, and that always kills me. Like when you're just trying to be funny and it doesn't really serve a purpose, and it almost becomes unwanted, you know, comedy. This was that episode, you know, where it's kind of like even the way they took out Christopher Lloyd's character, Commander Hellgate, or sorry, Commissioner Hellgate, Commissioner Hellgate, like just to have him like electrocuted, he falls, and then you hear the little groan, like off the side. I was like, my God.
And then she has the punchline politics, and it's like, can we not do this?
No, that was shameful.
Yo. And that conversation at the end was totally reminiscent of Scooby-Doo. Like, after they unmasked them and everything, and they're like, you know, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you pesky droids or something, right? You know, it's just like, this was a real low point for this series. And I'm hoping that we get back on track, because it's 2 more episodes left, right?
Yep, 2 more.
This was too late in the game for that, yo. This was way too late in the game for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, like, even Retro said earlier, she's like, if it was a 12-episode season, then this episode's okay.
Yeah.
You know, but the fact that we're literally 2 episodes away, and the last 2 need to really just, like, the next one is a ramp-up episode, really just building into episode 8. And then episode 8 supposed to be
like, I need some severed limbs. I need some I need some pew pews. I need some punches. I need, like, Moff Gideon better be the first face that shows up in the next episode. It just has to start being exciting.
They better go Empire Strikes Back with the next one and the one after. Seriously.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because... wow.
Corey,
that was tough.
Never mind. You already have the
That was tough.
My bad. So obviously, Din Djarin and Bo-Katan bring the captive, Hellgate to the Duchess and Jack Black's character, Captain Combardier. Yeah, Captain Combardier. And to me, this was more of a ridiculous, like, this whole sequence was ridiculous. Like, he's basically saying, like, oh my God, it was you this entire time? Yes, and I did it because of this, and I don't like your husband. And, you know, the fact that, you know, he's literally killing people with droids, and the Duchess was like, well, you're forgiven, but we're gonna, you know, expel you to another planet. He's like, well, I hope you one day see that I serve a purpose again. It was like, what? Like, what is happening? Like, how are you forgiving him and, like, letting him off easily? And I get it's a peaceful planet, but, like, he literally just killed innocent civilians with the droids, and he was planning on overtaking your government, you know, to bring it back to the separatist ways. And you're just gonna, you know, simply because he's like, well, I hate your husband, but my lady, my Duchess, my queen.
Yes.
She's pamper me.
And every time you turn the camera to Jack Black, he's making that face.
Yeah.
And
when he's
I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Also, too, like, I was really confused on, like, who was in charge out of them two, right? Like, Jack Black kind of introduced himself first, and he was standing up and kind of giving a speech, if I'm not mistaken, right? And doing all the talking. But then towards the end, like, she seemed like she was talking more than he was, and then, like, she was the one that sentenced him, and I was like, yo, I was just confused. Like, what's going on? I was so confused. When this scene got there, I was like, yo, what am I watching right now? Like, that was when it really set in. Like, I really despised this episode.
Yeah, when she said, Jack Black said, "Oh, I always knew you didn't like me," and it was like you said, what are we watching? It's completely out of place. It was quite funny, but it shouldn't have been in The Mandalorian.
It's improv. It sounds like it's improv.
It was.
They gave these guys more dialogue than they gave Din for the rest of the season. I mean, he hardly says anything. Right. I mean, what the heck is going on here? And then another piece to it that was also kind of, it was cute. Okay, it was cute. Was she's playing that game, and Grogu does his little magic thing so that way she can win. And I was like, okay, that's cute, but you know what, guys, do you realize that a few moments ago droids were going to be released on the city and kill everybody? Like, there was no tension at all. Not one single moment was I scared for these stupid people. And so, it's like I didn't feel empathy for them, and I didn't feel like they were in any danger. So, I mean, this ends up feeling like, okay, it's a cute moment. Let's move on to the next thing. And that was kind of unfortunately, it took too long to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sky, were you gonna say something next?
Yeah, in terms of what she just said about Din having like minimal dialogue throughout this entire episode, and then for them to just have so much, this thing, they just I'm not quite sure what they were going for with these cameos, but I feel like it didn't work, and judging by everybody's responses, hopefully we don't see this type of thing again,
Right, yeah. It definitely didn't work for sure. Savage, your thoughts?
Just rubbish all round, really, start to finish. I think the only thing I liked was just seeing the Mandalorians together, and there was a little bit of sort of building up to what's happening next with them, with the Darksaber and all that. But again, that was a little bit silly as well. But just all round, I've got nothing to say about it. Really, it's just rubbish.
Oh, and speaking of the Darksaber,
I don't think we got to that part yet, did we?
Yeah. No. I'll jump.
The very next.
I'll jump.
Yeah.
I'll jump forward to that.
Because we're about to tear that apart right there.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ancient on. One thing I do want to ask you guys is, does anyone get the sense? Oh, what's that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Cool, Trey.
Sorry, Super Bro.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I was glad that this was the last thing we saw Lizzo and Jack Black is super Scooby-Doo moment. Why Star Wars great till they gotta be great. That's all I have to say about that portion.
Yikes. Does anyone get the sense that maybe I just feel like Jack Black's character, Captain Bombarder, he's more involved than I think. It just seems like they let
I hope we never see Jack Black.
Commissioner Hellgate off way too easily. It almost seems like, what if he was the mastermind behind? Not the mastermind. Like maybe he is a pawn of Moff Gideon.
And that's something I thought about, and I was like, when would we see something like that come about? Next episode or next season? Because it seems like this is okay. So they knighted Grogu, so of course Grogu is going to come back to this place. I mean, he's a knight there. So I mean, it could be like, oh, we need your help, knight of the whatever, and and they will bring them back. Or it could just be he could be working for the Empire still, or working for Moff, or working for whoever this whatever the remnants of the Empire may be in charge. And he could be like, secretly trying to sabotage things from the inside, where he can, of course, flip a switch and turn all the robots back into their original protocols, under this fake reprogramming. So who knows? But at this point, it would have been really interesting if at the end of the episode, the end of this scene, we would have gotten a close up of his face kind of drop, and you could see like a more sinister side, and it'd be like, ooh, what's going on there? Because with him playing this like character, you're just like, okay, this is silly. But if he's playing a role, if he's playing a game, then this could be interesting. As long as we take him out of that comedic role and put him in a serious one. I mean, these guys are too jovial and too comedic for this.
Too Jubilee, yeah.
Yeah, they need to get serious. Like I said, if at the end of they had taken Bo and then to the court area and said, hey, look, we're just pretending to be happy, but we're in real trouble. The stakes go all the way up. But with this whole BS about like their with the joking and everything, it's funny, haha, let's all laugh at it, and then you don't register it at all. It's not compelling television. It's not compelling. It's not a compelling series like this.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, Retro. I think there was a lot of missed opportunities, especially, and just bad storytelling all around with this particular episode. And it starts a lot with kind of the tone they went with this episode at this time of the season. We're building up to something with Moff Gideon, and to have kind of this, rather than to build the mystery of where is Moff Gideon, we went this sidetrack of let's do this comedic episode and then maybe solve one issue we've had this entire season. It was just not smart on their part. Well,
the other thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Savage.
The other thing as well is not only did the whole thing was a complete mess and didn't make any sense, the CGI in some bits was really good, and then in other bits it was like god awful. Like it was from like about the 2000s. The Super Battle Droids looked like that they came out in like 98 or something. Something dodgy was going on with the special effects as well. It was really, really, really odd, because all the city and everything looked amazing.
Oh yeah.
And then you go to the bit with the droids, and it just looked cack. It was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's like what do you call it? A board made thing where everyone just put everything on the table and we just mash it all together and hope that they like it. I don't know. It was just very, very, very odd.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, of course, they do this weird little bit too where they're gifted the key to the city, basically, but also Grogu is now knighted. I guess we have to call him Sir Grogu.
Yo. Why did they just have the key to the city there? Like, I immediately thought that. I was like, why the hell would they even have that there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, oh yeah, and here's the key to the city. I was just like, bruh.
And it looked like it was built from like a Millennium Falcon toy. Like, I swear I've seen a design like that before, where like a piece of the key. I don't know. It was just weird.
I was wondering if it was made of Beskar, maybe.
Oh yeah, I wondered
and that
was
as well. Why it's a gift, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But just to even knight Grogu, like what was the purpose of that?
No, this is what going back to the weird Star Trek episode things. Just like that. Like what the hell? Like Grogu's literally from a people called the Jedi Knights. Like what the hell was him to get knighted by these other people? Like What? It doesn't even make any sense.
Right? Like, does that make him a Jedi Knight? I mean, obviously, it doesn't make him a Jedi Knight.
No, of course
like,
not. But
to me, it was just like, what?
Because this was a
purpose?
fan-made episode that wanted to bring key elements from iRobot and other bullshit sci-fi movies, and like, let's make Grogu really cute because we love Grogu and sell toys.
Oh, maybe my theory that it was made by monkeys and typewriters. Maybe it was made by an AI, and they just went with it. They just went, we'll get an AI to write the episode to make it authentic because it's a robot episode. They just left it to the AI to write the episode, and that's why it makes no bloody sense.
I was literally waiting for this scene to come right around the corner.
Sultan.
Oh, dear.
All right, well, let's get to the scene that we all
Whoa,
want.
Bat Dan's thoughts.
Oh, sorry, Bat Dan's thoughts with that $5 super chat, the evil super chat from the Sith sympathizer.
Evil Sith sympathizer.
Thank you so much, Bat Dan, for your $5 super chat. He's saying, Trey, if you do a show with me before me seeing Back to the Future, you can be the first guest to come on with the killer intro Austin made me. Hashtag Obi-Wan gave up. Big fella, you're not going to convince me to join you when you do hashtag Obi-Wan gave up. You gotta pamper me a little bit, you know.
Right.
No,
this
brother,
one's for
I'd be
you,
happy
Bat
to do
Dan.
sure.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Obi-Wan did give up too early.
Jeez.
No, but Count Dooku was right though. So
oh my god.
That was one thing about the episode that they got right, I suppose.
Right.
This seemed like a bad match episode.
Let's go ahead and let's get to the scene that we knew it was coming, but like to me, the way they handled it was like it infuriated me on a level like no other. Like even my wife was kind of like, "Why are you shaking your head obnoxiously right now?" Like because we literally did this in Star Wars Rebels. Like this was already done. You know, like it was so disappointing. I could think of many metaphors to explain how disappointing this scene was of how she reclaims her Darksaber, but of course she finds her old group of Mandalorians, and of course they're like, we don't want to follow you anymore because, you know, you suck. And she was like, well, let's do trials of combat. I'll beat your ass up. And, you know, of course she wins the battle. It was a cool fight scene. I won't lie. The fight scene was fun. It was great to see Mandalorians throw down with each other. But then to do this whole thing, like, you know, you should even fight me to take over this clan, you know. You should be fighting Din because he has the Darksaber, and that's why we won't follow you. He's not even a Mandalorian yet. The Mandalorians literally followed Darth Maul, so it doesn't matter if you have blood, you know, Mandalorian blood in you. So I don't know why you even brought that up, you know. But then to be like, oh, well then, you know,
bro, you following Jack Black and Lizard.
Right.
What are you talking about? Would you game follow Bo-Katan?
Oh my god! See, this
Right.
is the more. I think this is more funnier than the other parts that is supposed to be funny.
Oh
my gosh!
You know, but to do this whole thing was just like, well, technically on a technicality.
On a technicality, that was just so
She
dumb.
does own the Darksaber.
so
I got
dumb.
my ass whooped by this robot thing who didn't even know what the Darksaber was, and then, you know, so technically she destroyed that thing that beat me up. So technically she gets it back. Like, seriously, we're just gonna give it back to her like that easy, not create any type of conflict between them. We're just gonna make Din Djarin the side character again and be like, here it is.
Pretty
I
much.
have a theory of why they're doing this, but I want to hear from you guys. This entire obnoxious scene. Let's start with Retro, then Sky, then Savage, then Super Bro.
Okay. First of all, why is Din there? Why is Din there in the first place? Because we left the last episode with Bo getting the mission to go get other Mandalorians. So why is Bo there? That was never explained, or he's just stuck to her by the hip now. And so that was never explained, and I think we deserve an explanation as to why he's there, or even a discussion, like I'm going with you, or you Bay Catan, I owe you, I owe you my life, so I'm gonna stick by you, like something to help to explain why he's still there with her, because technically this is her mission, this is not his. And this whole horrible explanation as to why he why he's giving up this saber to her, it's very fan driven, because we all said the same thing. We all said, well, why can, technically it must be hers, because, after that second episode, right? After that second episode, we were like, okay, technically she could just own that sword, but she wouldn't do that because she didn't want to fall into the same mistake she did before by not earning that sword through battle, right? That was the whole point. She had to battle for it. So this whole thing was like, oh yeah, well, technically, I don't know why they don't want to see Din and Bo fight. And I thought it would have been very compelling if she had showed up with him there in front of everybody and say, turn to him and say, you know what, I am so sorry, but I'm gonna have to challenge you for the sword. And it would have been like, oh snap, we finally, these two are gonna come to blows for this sword, and it would have at least put some tension in this whole thing. No, he just hands it over to her, very anticlimactic, and it lost all of its energy. Like at no point did I feel like anybody was in any danger at any point during this episode. If he was going to give it to her, why didn't he just give it to her when he picked it up in episode 2 and said, you know what, technically this thing belongs to you now? It took him was he that stupid that it took him that long to figure it out? And he's just figuring it out now?
I think it was used in a way where he was like, cool, we have an audience here, so let me go ahead and do it in front of the crowd and explain it so that way she has this glorious moment, but pointless nonetheless. And you're absolutely right, Retro. Like, it was such a wasted scene. And to me, it's like, why would her group follow her with this? Because this isn't like in Star Wars Rebels, Sabine just gave her the black saber, and here I am, I'm the ruler, and they followed her then, and she lost it to Moff Gideon. So this was such a, like you said, anticlimactic way of getting it back that I don't see why they would look at her and go like, cool, let's follow you. How are you not going to lose it again?
That was the other stupid part about it, was like they were like, oh, I guess so.
They were like, that'll do. That's a good enough excuse.
Well, we just needed a reason.
What the hell?
That works for us.
Like the future of Mandalore.
It felt like
all lays on this.
It felt like they should have had the armorer come out with a book and be like, "Thou shalt do this, and if this shall be done, then yes, she is the queen."
Which is shitty, because when that story that he was referring to, like, I was attacked by something and she saved I dropped the Darksaber and she picked it up and saved me with it, so shouldn't it belong to her? It's something that I was like, oh, is that, even before he mentioned that, I was like, oh, maybe she is the rightful owner. It was kind of in the back of my thought. But, clearly she didn't have it, so I figured, they must actually have to fight for it. But to, kind of fall back on that excuse on why all of a sudden she gets to hold on to the Darksaber was maddening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skywalker, your thoughts, my man. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just like Retro said, because I was confused as well. I was like, yo, why is then there, right? Like it just didn't make any sense, right? Like they sent her off to go do this. It seemed like they could have split up after they left Jack Black and Lizzo's planet, right? And then after that, it's like, but then I figured it out. He was there, Retro, because he had to hand her the Darksaber.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why he was there. You know what I'm saying? Was because he had to hand her the Darksaber. And I was extremely upset also because as soon as this dude started using it better, he like gives it away.
Yeah.
Right? And we all knew that this was coming, that Bo-Katan was going to end up with the Darksaber, I think, but the way it was handled was extremely poor. And I just, but what else? I mean, no, how else to end this episode other than this way, right? Where people are going to be more upset because, look, these last two episodes really better live up. I'm curious to see how they're going to bring this thing home. I mean, I thought that they were going to bring up her seeing the Mythosaur or something, and that would have made more sense than just like just trust my story that she picked up the Darksaber and saved me with it, right? And the fact that they were saying that they couldn't follow her, but they could follow Jack Black and Lizzo is problematic as well. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do their bidding, but not Bo-Katan. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
And then they got land. These people just they just promised to help Mandalore try to get back in with the New Republic, right? It's like there's all this stuff going on that they could have brought up, like, yo, we just got a place for our people to go and settle and our kids to play and all that. No, like, nah, I just dropped the saber and she picked it up and saved me with it. So just believe my story while also saying that you don't believe it. It was just very confusing, and I'm really looking forward to see how they kind of wrap this whole thing up with these last two episodes, because this was a big step backward.
Yes, I absolutely agree with all of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the whole
question, Savage.
The whole hand in the Darksaber thing over was really stupid. Like I said, the Mandalorians are sitting there looking, going, yeah, that's good enough. Is it though? Not really.
We always would have.
You know what I mean? Like the whole idea is you've got to fight for it. That didn't make no sense. But again, I think that some of this weird, terrible storytelling that they're going on is Bo-Katan is going to become the main character in The Mandalorian, really, and this is why they're rushing it towards the end, because I think she's going to be the main focus. Wouldn't be surprised if she got her own series. I don't know if they'll call it The Mandalorian still, but it seems it's heading. They want to go with her as the lead role by the looks of it.
Super Bro Corey, your thoughts?
Man, I tell you what, this was the 8 minutes of the show that actually mattered and still was trash, bro. This fight scene here was lackluster in my opinion as well. Like, it was super weak. Like, I was expecting like some Django versus Kenobi, style level of fight scene, and this is what we got. It was very weak. It was a quick fight between those two, and then now they're all like, "Oh, the fight done now," and nope, he's just going to hand it over. So, why not? So, what a way to end this episode of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's, to me, and I know I said this theory, I think 2 episodes ago. Either Savage is right and Bo-Katan is going to take over for the Mandalorian show as the main character, or I think they're setting her up to where she dies, and that Din Djarin has the call to action to become the hero of the story, because they're going to be like, clearly we've always established throughout the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and now Mandalorian that Bo-Katan is the rightful leader of Mandalore. We've said that a million times, and she keeps losing it. You know, she keeps losing her ability to lead, or she just has a running theme that she can never just keep the group together. So she's the ruler of Mandalore. She just doesn't get it done. She doesn't win. And I think she's going to fail once again. And I think it's going to force Din Djarin to take up arms and to, as much as he reluctantly doesn't want to do it, become the leader of Mandalore and to lead the people right. Because even if you pay attention to Bo-Katan, they give her these weird little quirks to where there's times when she's caring and there's times when she's cold. Like through this sequence of when they're running through the city trying to capture the super battle droid, she knocks someone over and doesn't even look back. She's still in pursuit. But Din Djarin, the person she knocks over, he looks back and looks at the person to see they're okay. You know, so like it shows that he's caring. It just, the differences between them, I feel like they're setting something up to where if either they're not going to make Din Djarin the main protagonist anymore and Bo-Katan is, or they're setting it up to make you think Bo-Katan is going to be the main protagonist and something is going to happen, a big loss that is going to have to force Din Djarin to be the hero we need him to be. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
I actually like that concept, but here's the thing that really kind of gets me about the writing of all of this throughout season 3 up until this point. It's just been they have gone definitely focused in on Bo, but Din has been very distant in the story, and the episodes have been very short, and there is plenty of time that they could have added scenes for Din to be a personality in the season, and they've totally wiped out his character to sort of like be in the background or on the side. I mean, if that's intentional, they did a disservice to the story in general. This is a disservice to Bo in total as well, because even though I love seeing her with the sword, I want her to have that sword. They wasted time showing us Din actually training with that sword in Boba Fett. That somebody changed their mind. Like they were like, oh yeah, Din's got a new toy now. It's his it's a black saber, and then I realized, oh no, he can't have it. We got to give it back to Bo-Katan. This is this season. It's him giving this thing back to Bo-Katan, which could have been handled in episode 2. And so we're getting like it almost feels like they don't have that kind of like planning ability. It doesn't feel like they have the ability to plan that kind of a story that you're talking about, because it sounds like it's way too sophisticated for this storyline already. And I wish that's what they were doing. That it just doesn't feel like they're doing anything that even gives the Bo any justice. Is there any pride in winning that sword that way? That is really the worst way. Like that is horrible to have your main character get a sword because a technicality, instead of doing it the way it was supposed to be done, which is fight for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not even a Mandalorian, and it's like I'm like, you gotta fight for that thing.
Yeah,
we do it because of battle, and then all of a sudden,
because we are Mandalorians,
we just hand shit over now.
The only thing I can think of is sort of not making sense and kind of being a bit disjointed is we've just had this announcement that they're going to make a Mandalorian movie to tie up the storyline.
Yep.
Maybe they're saving all this kind of stuff that we want for the movie. So in the meantime, we're just getting this junk that doesn't make any sense. I think that there's a higher possibility that might be what they're doing. is they've had to change the story to fit the movie.
Oh,
Maybe,
one other thing
yeah,
I heard about that. One other thing I heard about that same story is that they're tying up all the movies in this timeline.
In the main Mandoverse, they call it.
Yeah, and so that would include Ahsoka and any remnants of the rebels. So I'm like, okay, so it's gonna probably be like an Avengers level
crossover,
kind of,
yeah.
movie.
Luke will be in it. Everyone will be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something to look forward to. But in the meantime, I mean, don't give me baby food, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's
definitely.
so funny, and I think this is why I have to wonder the intentions behind giving Bo-Katan the Blacksaber this easily, because I do think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are brilliant writers. We've seen them be like, I mean, it was not long ago, like literally last year, that we were all saying Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni need to be running Lucasfilm because they have Star Wars' best interests at heart. And I get this feeling that it's intentional because in a weird way, the audience is deciding who has earned the Darksaber, you know, not just the Mandalorians and the tribes and the different factions going on in Mandalore, but we as an audience are saying who has earned it and who deserves it. And the fact that the audience is even kind of going like, she has not earned this yet. This still belongs to Din.
Yeah.
I think is being done on purpose, you know, because I don't know how as a writer you can simply say, oh yeah, well technically Din is just going to give it back to her because, you know, there was this technicality. I don't see how as a writer you don't look at that and go like,
that makes sense.
Not going to go over well.
And again, it makes sense with the movie thing. Perhaps in the movie, that's where they fix that. You know, because
and I'm starting to trust your opinions, Trey, because the last time you were correct.
Reluctantly correct. You know, I didn't want to be, but you know.
Well, I agree, Trey, because that was the last thing that I saw that kind of reminded me after like just being completely disgusted with this episode. The last thing you see is ran by Favreau, and it's like, man, you know, like Filoni, Favreau, we freaking love those guys, and this is the episode that we just got. So I agree with your thought process there that maybe there's something deeper to this episode. And while I'm probably going to rate this one as a horrible score, I think it has a possibility of going up when we see the full
possibly.
Yeah,
context.
Possibly, yeah.
And I think if anything, you know, just kind of like what we've seen some other shows do, I'm starting to wonder as well if them making, because this was an episode that easily had some really dark things happen in it, but they just, you know, chose to go the comedic route. I'm wondering if they went the comedic route to give us one last lighthearted moment, because these next episodes are going to be like really hit us hard.
They better
and,
be.
like
Clone
you know,
Wars and Rebels. Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch have got a system of doing that as well. So that would make sense.
Yeah, I think they're setting us up. You know. Yeah, I think it's just. I hope so too. It's one of those scenes where like I'm putting in a lot of faith and hope in Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to nail this thing. But if they don't, I'm gonna start to get worried. But I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like this episode. As you guys know, we like to score each episode. The Pirate, the last episode, I gave it like a 9.4. I loved that freaking episode.
Yeah.
This one, I'll go ahead and start first just to give you guys an idea of what I'm thinking.
Oh boy.
It is a 5.1.
Oh snap!
5.1.
The only reason, like I said, anything above a 5 means it's worth watching. The only reason why it's worth watching is the very end of the episode is because you needed to know that Bo-Katan somehow gets the Darksaber back.
Man,
otherwise,
Trey,
I wouldn't watch this episode.
Cold, Trey.
Trey, that's wild, buddy. Yeah, that's yeah, man. I feel you. I'll let our guest score, but I feel like our scores are going to be similar, Trey.
Oh snap! Super Pro and I are on it.
Oh my god!
Make sure you start to put in the comments though what you thought of this episode and what your overall score is. But let's continue with retro. And then...
Yeah, well, I gave it a kind of a high score of a 6.
Okay. Man, a high score of a 6. You heard it.
That's pretty high. I mean, but I think it, just to sum up, the reason why I gave it a 6, of course, was, for the obvious things we all mentioned. And, last episode, I gave it a 9. So that shows you, like, as far as, like, I can have fun with this episode because of the nature of how goofy it was. I laughed through most of it. And but the thing is that at the very end, I was very disappointed by this lackluster, way that they handed over that blade like that. It's like, this is disrespectful to all the characters, every single character that was present in that vicinity, and it was. I was angry, actually. I was very angry, and then I cooled down. I was like, you know what? Look, it's just a show. It's just a show. And there was a lot more in there that was entertaining than wasn't. And it just didn't gel with me. And so that's why I gave it a 6.
Fair. That's fair. Skywalker, how about you, sir?
Oh, man. I gave this a 5 out of 10. I really did not like this episode at all. Unlike retro, I wasn't laughing throughout most of the episode. I was actually cringing throughout most of it.
Dang.
Yeah, I thought that the ending fight with her and I forget the guy who was leading. Yeah, right. That was a very lackluster fight. I felt like they should have had their helmets on. Right. Ooh. That way they could have done more with that fight as well, too, because it could have gotten more intense if like they're fully armored up. Right. Them kind of just doing it as they did, it made it seem like it wasn't really a real fight to me. Right. And their unwillingness to have Bo-Katan and then fight over that sword it really came to a head this episode, and I felt like this was the perfect opportunity for, even if they were gonna, all right, you have this first kind of lackluster fight, then maybe when she fights, then she gets armored up, and then they go at it, and then she beats him in some kind of way, and then it's like, all right, cool, right? I would be all there for it. But this episode really didn't work for me. I also really enjoyed last week's episode, The Pirate. And so this was a huge step backwards, and hopefully, we do get a more serious kind of ending these next 2 episodes.
Yeah, I agree. Savage, your score, good sir.
It's going to be my lowest score. I'm going to go with 6.5.
Wow.
Just based on some of it was actually visually stunning, and it did make me laugh, even though I didn't want to laugh, because I want to see cool action scenes and good fight scenes and good storytelling. But I was kind of sort of entertained by it. But it was really, really, really poorly written. And the scene with the reason with the Darksaber, getting that made the Mandalorians look really dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's all right. We're totally up for that. Like, what the hell, man? You know what I mean? Like, Mandalorians are supposed to be super cool, super on it. You know what I mean? Like, they should have said, no, you got to fight each other. Like, come on. This is the sword to rule Mandalore. We ain't going to get out on some technicality. That was just so dumb. So yeah, 6.5. That's my lowest Star Wars score so far since we've been doing Delta Squad.
Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hey, Travis. Look. Anytime that I literally say, like, I said that out loud, I'm not joking. I said, what am I watching right now?
Yeah, that's right. I had the same thing.
I was like,
same thing.
This is like, what am I watching right now? This is insane.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. poor writing and poor placement of the stars as well. It's just like Jack Black and all that, like, you know, and what a wasted opportunity for Christopher Lloyd, because I absolutely love him. And you know what I mean, for him to be in one of the most duff episodes, that's just such a shame.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Yo, and if you think about it, it's kind of inverse of the Reva situation with Obi-Wan, right? Where everybody didn't like Reva at first, and then later you end up kind of seeing like, oh snap, like there was actually a lot there for us to be able to kind of sink our teeth into. This happened the inverse. It's like it's been this whole thing where it's like, yo, we kind of been drawing this out, and then this happens, and it's like, wait a minute, like, this is how you're gonna hand the sword over? Like, oh my goodness, like, you know, it's really poor episode.
Really, very, very poor, very, very poor. If it wasn't, you know what I mean, the only reason is give it any time of day, it's just simple fact that it's Star Wars, and that's it at the end of the day.
Exactly. That's where some of my score came from. It's Star Wars. I like
it's
to
just
watch
because
it.
it's Star Wars.
And
you know what I mean?
Christopher Lloyd was in it, and I have to be nice to my boy. You know, but other than that, I wouldn't watch this episode if I didn't have to. Like, if someone asked me, like, Trey, what are the essential episodes I need to watch for Mandalorian? I would not mention this one at all.
No, like I said earlier, it's like one of them episodes of Star Trek. You watch it, you think, what the hell? So I mean, it's one of those episodes, and just totally didn't make any sense. And the more we talk about it, the more I'm thinking this has got something to do with this announcement for this Mandoverse film. They're starting to having to change the story to fit the movie, because the movie's going to be big. It's going to be epic. All the people that are into the Mandoverse are going to go and see it. It's going to be it's going to be a big money spinner.
Yeah,
and I think that's the reason. It's the last minute they've had to come up with some crap that they was going to end it with, but now they've got to extend it a bit and make it fit the movie. And save all the good stuff for the movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You get some good points. Super Bro Corey, your score, sir.
This was a 46-minute episode?
I think so, yeah, something like that. Should have been 20. It should have been the shortest episode yet.
And I tell you what, a 0.1 makes sense to me as far as scores go, because if you look at this episode, 46 minutes worth, and only the last 5 minutes are actually relevant to the story. So that would be a 0.10 of the actual, or 10% of the episode is all that actually mattered in this episode. So this was a bad episode, and that's not my real score. But immediately what I saw during this was just, second I saw Jack Black, and I immediately thought of the Mobians and Tropic Thunder. It just reminded me of, like, man, did people pay to get on this show? Horrible writing, like literally, like it was like iRobot meets this is what I felt like Din Djarin was walking onto. He was Tim Allen's character here.
Saris has moved the deadline. We are approaching his ship at the Nye Delta now. He wants an answer to his proposal. I understand.
I got most of it in the car. Saris is the bad guy, right?
Oh yes, sir. He is a very bad man indeed. He has tortured our scientists, put us to work in the gallium arsenide mines, captured our females for his own demented purposes.
Yeah. I got the picture. Do you have pages, or do you just want me to wing this?
Do you have pages, or do you just want me to win this? That was the level of, like, writing going on here, and like literally, the Jack Black being in there, everything like that. I was ready to see, like, Zoltan level of garbage from Star Wars that I've never seen before.
We are finally going to fulfill
Yikes.
the prophecy of outer space travel.
Zoltan! It was just
Zoltan.
This was some sci-fi level Star Wars, bro. It was sci-fi level, and don't get me wrong, I like those sci-fi, awkward, low production films. But you're telling me you have some high, speed Star Wars action going on the first, last few episodes, and then this is the episode we get next, bro. It was straight trash, absolutely trash, man. And it was the only thing that you would need to see is the last 5 minutes of it. I was going to rate this thing in the 3s, but you technically need to watch you have to see it, so technically it should be a 5 because you need to at least see the episode to know what happens next. But this was just a bad episode for me, so I'm giving it a rookie score, just a straight 5, bro.
Yeah. So Corey, take out if this was just one episode and you didn't this was it. What would your actual score be if you didn't have to watch any previous or later Star Wars thing?
If I didn't have to watch this episode at all and just me watching it, bro,
yeah,
it's a 1. It was a horrible episode. Like it was stealing themes. It was taking different, movies. Like we said, we all saw iRobot. We mentioned a lot of different other themes that we saw there. It was a cheap story. And it was basically, and that's why I say it was literally these, some kids wrote up a story when they were like, a 3rd grader or 5th grader, like, oh, I really liked that scene in the movie and wrote that in there. Then, oh, I really like this scene in the movie and wrote that in there. And that's what I felt like I got. And then I was like, you know what? Being a kid, I think cool, one of my favorite funny characters is Jack Black. Ooh, I like that Lizzo song. Why Star Wars got to be great until they, be great, and I really liked
boom, 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 boom.
New man on the Mandalorians. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I really like Christopher Lloyd. Let's throw him in there as well, and then let's have it all circle around Din Djarin. And literally, we had just got off seeing Moff Gideon escape, bro. And this is the episode that you give us. Like, what the hell is going on here?
No, let's get back to the story.
Especially since this is a huge week for Star Wars. Star Wars celebrations going on. Like, what are you doing right now? Like, this should have been, bam, yay, we're celebrating Star Wars week. Boom, here's Moff Gideon back. Boom, here's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. You have 8 episodes and this is all you give me, bro? This was trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode was probably made by the same people that decided to green light more Rey Skywalker movies. Do you know what I mean?
Right?
that one was a tough pill to swallow when I heard that.
Yeah, same. I'm still in
Ridley
shock.
Came out, I was like,
I'm still in shock. Like, who made that decision? Do you know what I mean?
Who asked for this?
No one.
I know it's canon. I can't deny it's not canon, but I kind of would have thought that the reception to those films, but clearly it's about money. Whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This episode, with how awful it was, it has to mean more. There has to be something that and I don't know how you save this other than the last 5 minutes of this episode. I swear to God, if I see Jack Black in another episode, I'm gonna be pissed, bro. Like,
also, when they said about Christopher Lloyd going to the moon as the prison thing. Is he going to be in it again and become like a serious bad guy or something? Like what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I think they're just like, hey, we're a peaceful community. We don't do executions. We're not like the Empire. So
yeah,
I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I see Domain also gave us a 6.4.
Yeah, let's jump into the scores. Bat Fanatic gave us a 6-1.
Okay.
Hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Guy gave it a 6.9 for Bo-Katan. Matt Dan Thoughts gave it a 5.51239458. You can bump it up in the next 2 episodes. Pay this off properly.
Hopefully.
The Butler with a 5.5. Beyond the Night with a 6.1. Red Hooded Outlaw with a 5.3 out of 10. Okay. Sin Havoc with a 5. Hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Guy said, just kidding. Giving it a 5.9. Domain Stokely gave it a 7.6 or 6 out of 7.
Yeah.
6.4 from Morco's Clock Tower. 5 from 9 Lives in Hell here. 5.4 from Trevor H. Was not expecting Trey's score. Wow. 6-4 from Domain. Yeah, it was a low point for Star Wars.
It is. Yeah, so hopefully they do pay it off with the last 2 episodes. Obviously, they got some ground to cover. Hopefully they're longer episodes. None of these 30-minute episodes that we've had. These last 2 need to be 45 to an hour.
Yep.
We'll see though. Wednesdays, it's gonna be crazy. Now, guys, want to roll out the red carpet for my people who always show up when I need them to. I've been having a bad couple of days, but you guys make me feel better. Skywalker the Jedi. What you got going on, big fella?
Oh man, I got a stream coming up later tonight. It should be a lot of fun. So everybody check that out. Yes, more spaces and stuff. We will be making some announcements on this stream as well. I will be showing you guys some sneak peeks at the shirts designed by Noel Leon Flores. Yes, be tuned for that. Just in general, make sure that you subscribe to the platform and subscribe to the Bat channel and Retro Nerd Girl and the Savage Bat as well. So make sure that you're subbed to all these channels, because they've always been rocking out with me. So much love to all you guys, and thanks for letting me pull up, man. Y'all know I love talking Star Wars over here with y'all, man.
Yeah, bro.
100%.
Batman, he talks Star Wars with us all the time.
Right? I even played Battlefront, right? Hey, right? Hey, see? Multiple times, bro. And we be talking about Star Wars then too.
One time playing Battlefront.
Right?
Yeah, it was an all-day affair. That was insane.
We got to do it again.
That long in a while. That was a
100%.
Well, guys, please subscribe over to my boy Skywalker the Jedi. He's doing some big things over there, especially with Mikey-san with the night shift. Some great streams over there, and also all the money he's raising for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Looking forward to them next AFSP shirts. I got the black version of the original one you got out. So
for sure.
Yeah, I ordered that last week. So yeah, looking forward to seeing. Looking forward to seeing them.
Out of curiosity, what's the final number for shirts on that?
Man, we never got an answer back, so I'm just gonna leave it at where it is on the site. I think it was like 806.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, 803, something like that. But I for sure ordered. We know that we sold more than 139. Oh no, than 136, which is posted because I ordered 3 more, and it just kind of stayed there afterwards. And I was like, oh man. So if that happened with me, I didn't know if it happened with anybody else either. And so we was just trying to get a final total, but we're not sure. So we're just gonna leave it where it is now.
Yeah.
The next shirts, hopefully, we think that it's gonna blow the first shirts out of the water, 100%.
Seeing
they're crazy
pictures.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal.
They look great.
Phenomenal. Well, the guys, that's exciting stuff for Skywalker. Please make sure you subscribe to his channel. Keep in touch with all the things going on, all the great things that he's doing for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, all the Snyderverse. Great streams over there. Retro Nerd Girl.
Hi. Yes, you can definitely subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of retro reviews and live streams similar to this. We're talking about movies, usually retro ones or retro topics. And today I am doing a show which is going to be a watch party for Flash Gordon. Deadly Race from Planet Deadly Race from Planet Mars. And it is just a watch party. This one is going to be from, I believe, 1936. So that's pretty much what you can expect on my channel. And you can also Flash. And you can also find me on Twitter as well.
Do it. I love all the streams Retro's been doing lately, and she recently passed 6K. I'm so freaking proud. But you know what? Let's not waste time. Let's get Retro Nerd Girl to 10K. Get Skywalker to 1K, and freaking get Savage to 1K as well. We just bumping it up, people. Let's do it. Let's freaking go. My man, Savage.
We all love retro.
Oh, you guys are so sweet to me. Thank you.
Savage Bat, what you got going on, big fella?
Obviously, I'll be back here next Saturday for this show, and on Sunday for the Bat and the Kryptonian. And funny enough, our guest is Retro Nerd Girl.
Small world.
Yeah, looking forward to that, obviously, and having a Snyderverse catch-up and talking about Skywalker's great achievements with the sell Snyderverse to Netflix is absolutely amazing. That's just absolutely cool. And that's about it, really. And then once a fortnight from there on, from the Bat and the Kryptonian, with a guest and maybe two guests, we just shake it up a little bit.
Doing some great streams with Zod Rider. I freaking love that, Savage. The retro one, that's gonna be a fun one. I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts about everything that's been going on with the Snyderverse community. It's there's always something, right? It never ends. And obviously with the big Full Circle SnyderCon coming up soon at the end of the month, we're expecting big things, right? Like whether it's an announcement we all hope to hear, or just simply the fact that we've raised over $1 million now for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It's incredible all in itself and is worth it, right? So guys, definitely subscribe to Savage Bat. He's doing some great stuff over there. Super Bro Corey and I have a lot going on, especially today. I'm going to be working on the Ahsoka trailer reaction with the Wonder Wife Sarah, who joined me. Also an Indiana Jones 5 trailer reaction with her. So be on the lookout for that later. We also have our new Air movie review out. Definitely recommend checking out because that film was phenomenal. Freaking loved it. Couldn't recommend it more if you haven't seen it in theaters yet. We also have a Blue Beetle trailer reaction and another film that Ben Affleck is in, Hypnotic. Guys, if I said Hypnotic and you had no idea what I was talking about, check out that trailer reaction. Literally, I had no idea about it. Saw the trailer and immediately was like, this film is top 5 most anticipated 2023.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for it. It looks insane. The best way I can describe it, Minority Report meets Inception.
Oh, is it sci-fi?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi crime heist thriller, essentially. Very mind-bending.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in.
Lots of trickery going on.
So many theories about it too. I think it's going to be a real banger. I hope it does well because it's looking good. Directed by Robert Rodriguez, who has done episodes of Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett as well. So some good stuff there indeed.
It really looks great.
And then Monday, you guys are all welcome to join us as well. Monday, Corey and I are going to be doing a Star Wars Celebration live recap stream on Monday night. I haven't figured out what time yet, Corey. 9 p.m. Eastern work for you?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll go over everything that was announced. We'll talk about if we're hyped, lame, or just the general thoughts about what Disney's planning on doing with Star Wars' future and if we think it's the right direction to go. It's a great way to join us there. Good. So make sure you guys smash that like, you share this video if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. My replay crew, we need you guys. Smash that like, leave a comment, tell us what you thought of tonight's episode, and let us know what your theories are for future Mandalorian episodes. We're coming towards the end, guys, and we're going to be doing another Battlefront game party. We're going to talk with Orc and Beans a little later on because I think we're going to do it as an American Foundation Suicide Prevention fundraiser gaming stream. So
wow.
we're just continuing, guys. We're continuing the fight. What? What's Kai? Huh? What?
I mean, I want to play Battlefront with y'all. What's going on? Like, I didn't even know about this.
You're always welcome. It's going to be a damn good time. You guys know how we do. We celebrate Star Wars, playing some video games, hanging out with each other. We'll do the gamer tags again so you guys can join us. We're just going to take over Star Wars Battlefront for a night. Raising money for the AFSP. That's what it's all about. We'll get you.
When is this?
2 or 3 weeks from now, Corey.
Okay.
2 weeks. Right. It's April 22nd. I think is the. I thought we were doing it the. Oh no! It's April 19th. Is the April 22nd would be the review, and then I think we were planning on doing the stream after that, the gaming session after that.
We'll be creating.
I've got the
banners soon.
22nd on my calendar.
Yeah, 22nd. Yeah, I knew we were talking about it.
Sweet. See, guys, we're doing cool stuff over on the Delta Squad team. So make sure, if you haven't already, Corey, do you have Orc and Beans 14's Twitch account? Little link for us, guys. Make sure, if you haven't already, follow Orc and Beans, one of our great members on the Delta Squad stream. He couldn't be with us these last 2 weeks because he's busy doing wedding stuff with his friend. Make sure you go follow him over on Twitch. He is taking over Twitch in the gaming streaming business.
Shout out to Orc and Beans.
Orc and Beans. You guys know where it's at. I'm Trey with his host, Super Bro Corey. I said host, Gracie. You're being promoted.
Yeah, wow, promoted.
And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
Same bat channel.
Same bat time.
See you later, guys. Have a good one.
Yes.
Peace.
Batman out.
Zoltan! Zoltan! Zoltan!